The young man descends on an escalator when he spots his wife ascending on the other side towards the junction, completely oblivious of her husband. Immediately after spotting her, he abandons any idea of leaving at that moment and chases after his wife, who is about to be faced with a difficult decision that she had no idea. A couple named Joan and Larry arrive at their grandchild's gender reveal party. Sometime after settling in, Larry chokes on a snack when he wakes up and finds himself on a train to his utmost confusion, wondering where Joan, his wife, is. After alighting from the train and getting to the junction, Larry asks the first set of people he meets questions to figure out what is happening, but is met with the same response, letting him know that his AC will be with him soon. Long after waiting and sleeping off at the junction's waiting area, Larry's AC, Anna, eventually shows up and introduces herself to him as his afterlife coordinator. Larry finds it difficult to come to terms with the fact that he is dead. As the two take a walk, Anna whips out a mirror and points it at his face, with Larry being shocked to see that he has gotten younger. Anna explains that when someone dies and reaches the junction, which is a waiting area, before choosing their eternity, their body reverts to the age at which they were happiest, no matter how old they were when they actually died. Anna brings Larry to a room where he would stay for a limited time until he chooses an eternity. Soon, Larry gets bored being alone in the room with nothing to do and decides to take a walk. He arrives at a bar, where he orders rounds of drinks, which are tended to him by a bartender named Luke. Larry and Luke chat for a bit, and Larry reveals to him what his idea of an eternity looks like. After informing Luke that it might not be appreciated by his wife, Luke informs him that once he has chosen an eternity, there is no going back on it. After inquiring from Luke about the consequences of flouting the rules, Luke tells Larry that if he breaks the rules or tries to switch eternities after choosing one, he would be put in a place called the Void, where nothing but blackness exists, for an everlasting punishment. The next day, Larry wakes up from a hangover to see Anna lying opposite him on the bed. This sight startles him, and he immediately asks her if they slept together. Anna pulls his legs for a brief moment before letting him know that she is just joking with him. Soon, Larry reveals to Anna that he has difficulty deciding where to spend his eternity because he wants to see where his terminally ill wife, Joan, will be. Many days pass, and Larry eventually makes a difficult decision to move on to eternity, as he is oblivious to the exact moment his wife will pass on and arrive at the junction. Before leaving, he pens a note with hopes of handing it over to Anna to give to Joan when she arrives. Anna declines the note, as it is against the policy, and lets him know that she could deliver his message on her own. Back on Earth, Joan passes on from cancer in the presence of family and wakes up on a train similar to the one her husband woke up on earlier. When she alights, she gets on an escalator going to the junction when Larry, who is on the other side of the escalator on his way to eternity, spots her. Immediately, Larry abandons his plans and races after Joan, who hasn't seen him yet. When they reunite, they happily talk to each other in Anna's presence. Larry gives his wife information about the place and where they are to go before Joan's afterlife coordinator, Ryan, shows up and purposefully pulls her away. A few seconds after being pulled away by her AC, Joan spots Luke afar off as he makes his way towards her. When he gets close to her, Joan is in absolute shock, and it is revealed that the bartender is her first husband, who died in a war before she got married to Larry 2 years after his passing. Having just met both her husbands, Joan gets overwhelmed by everything before being taken away by Ryan to her room to cool off. Soon after, Luke knocks on Joan's door. Sometime after getting back to her room, Joan hears another knock on her door. When she opens, she sees Larry standing right outside. When Larry walks in, he begins to talk about where they should spend their eternity. But all this overwhelms Joan. After calming her down, Joan lets Larry know that she requires some time to decide, as she is stuck in an impossible situation between choosing Luke or him.
I've just been reunited with both of my dead husbands.
Shortly after leaving Joan's room and arriving outside Larry realizes he is unable to access his room any longer. Anna shows up and informs him that his 7 days are up, and since he hasn't chosen an eternity yet, he has to move to the basement room. The next day, Larry shows up at Joan's room and gets her to go with him to a prepared surprise, which happens to be a performance by her favorite artist. Joan is happy when she realizes this, but it soon all unravels when it is realized that the artist is an imposter. After the whole disaster of a surprise,
Oh, hey, Luke. Swear to God.
Stop! Stop it!
Joan leaves the scene with Anna and Ryan, leaving Larry and Luke behind. Elsewhere, the ACs get on a phone call and receive approval to bend the rules a bit. Shortly after, Luke and Larry walk into the room and are told that someone higher up has approved a request for Joan to visit 2 eternities, one with each of them, without being stuck in any, before making her choice on whom to spend her time with forever. Larry and Luke flip a coin, which decides who goes with Joan to experience eternity first. Next, Luke and Joan are seen on a train heading towards Luke's eternity after he won the coin toss to go with Joan first. Soon, they arrive at Luke's idea of where he would like to spend eternity with Joan, and after taking all in for a while, they head over to a place called the Archive Tunnels, which is present in every eternity. Back at the junction, Larry is restless and worries about Luke taking his woman. Anna tells him that he has to figure out and remind Joan why she fell in love with him in the first place. At that moment, an idea comes to Larry, and he leaves the room to look for one of their neighbors, whom Joan told him had recently died as well. Somewhere else, Luke and Joan enter the Archive Tunnels and relive some of their shared memories until a memory of Joan and Larry surfaces, which annoys Luke, causing him to storm out and leave the tunnels, ultimately leading to the end of their visit to Luke's eternity. Elsewhere, Larry arrives at Karen's front door, his neighbor when he was alive. After exchanging pleasantries, Larry asks Karen if Joan ever told her anything about the reasons why she fell in love with him. Unable to give him an answer, Larry storms out and goes over to Luke's room in hopes of finding something to put him at a disadvantage with Joan. When Larry gets there with Anna, he goes through Luke's things and soon realizes what he is doing is wrong. He is about to leave when Luke walks in and sees him in his room. Luke confronts him and tells him he took advantage of Joan when she was in mourning to worm his way into her life. This leads to a bit of a bust-up between them, and after fighting for a short moment, they both calm down and crash on the room's floor. Not too long after that time, Larry and Joan visit their own version of eternity together. They arrive on a beach and have a good time, before Joan reveals to Larry that she is in a difficult situation and needs time to decide with whom she is going to spend her eternity. Later on, they leave the eternity and head back to the junction, with Larry walking Joan back to her room. They have a good moment together outside Joan's room before Luke walks in alongside the ACs to ruin it all. Luke brings along a letter that fell from Larry's pocket during their fight, in which Larry had written earlier to Joan before she arrived at the junction. After Joan reads the contents of the letter, she exchanges words with Larry.
I slept with Mr. Perfect over here. I'm not perfect.
As a matter of fact.
And a short while later, they all leave the room to give Joan time to think and decide. Sometime later, Karen comes knocking at Joan's door, and the two hang out together. When Joan returns, she has a clear idea of what her decision is going to be and goes out to meet with her husbands. In the presence of Anna and Ryan, Joan makes the difficult decision to tell her husbands that she isn't going to be picking any of them to spend her eternity with, and this turn of events breaks Luke and Larry's hearts. Later on, having decided where she wants to go, Joan leaves the junction with Karen and boards a train that would take them to the eternity that they have chosen to go to. Meanwhile, Larry and Luke take in Joan's heartbreaking news to them and have a heart-to-heart conversation, which leads to Larry coming to a realization. He immediately leaves Luke and races towards Joan's train before she can leave with Karen. When he gets to her, he unselfishly tells her that she should go with Luke, as she deserves a shot at the kind of love she didn't get to experience with Luke. Later, Luke and Joan board train. A while later, they arrive at their eternity, where they plan to spend the rest of their lives. Their relationship begins well as they explore the world and make new friends. Over time, Joan visits the Archive Tunnels repeatedly to relive the memories she created with Larry. After some time, Joan realizes that she made a mistake coming to that eternity with Luke, as her heart truly lies with Larry. Sometime later, Joan breaks the news to Luke about her decision to return to Larry, which devastates him. He pleads with her to stay, but to no avail, as she has made up her mind. Luke reminds her of the consequences of getting caught after leaving an eternity, as she would be thrown into the void forever. Joan replies and lets him know that she has to give it a shot. Dejected, Luke leaves her and walks away. A short while later, Luke meets Joan while she plots her escape from eternity and informs her that her methods wouldn't work. He agrees to help her escape and return to Larry by distracting the guard at the Archive Tunnels, who has a key to the exit. Moments later, Luke successfully distracts the guard at the entrance of the Archive Tunnel, allowing Joan to grab the key to their eternity's exit, which is located inside the Archive Tunnels.
I know it's tough.
Soon, Luke joins her inside the tunnels and urges her to go quickly. Shortly after Joan opens the door and steps outside, she begins to see memories of her life on Earth. The guards, realizing someone has escaped from an eternity, soon come after her, but Joan runs away from them and hurries back towards the junction in hopes of finding Luke. When Joan arrives at the junction, she inquires about the eternity Larry had gone to. Before she can receive help, The young girl Joan is talking to receives a printed image of Joan as a wanted person and immediately raises an alarm. Joan starts running away, but soon stumbles into Anna and Ryan, who quickly tell her to hide. After the ACs lead the guards on a wild goose chase, Joan comes out of hiding and asks the ACs about Larry's whereabouts. After being told by the ACs that Larry is still at the junction and hasn't chosen an eternity yet,
Where did he go? Who?
Joan goes looking for him and meets him bartending at the bar where Luke was previously the barman. After reuniting with each other, Joan and Luke head out towards an eternity together, despite being given a second chance to experience love with her first husband, who died early in their marriage. Joan eventually chooses the husband she grew old with to spend eternity together. What would you have done differently in Joan's place? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, guys, peace out.